and then once they collect it, is to get that seed stock to get it propagated. It takes several years at a place at a big nursery. That's where Lucky Peak, Forest Service Nursery, Stone Nursery, even Court Lane now is starting to grow and propagate grass seedlings like they used to do for conifers. And they're actually doing quite a bit of success doing that. Private industry too. But anyway, I want to talk more about specifics that I put in the next mix in. But let's get outside and look around a little bit. Should we just turn this off and let this cool down a little bit, or
yeah, just put once in the middle.
This one.
It'll go to cool mode.
There we go. Cool. So yeah. So these are the lots of granite seed catalogs. I love their catalogs. But there's other good ones here too. I've even saved a few old bitter named grower catalogs for shrub stuff. I even have a picture of myself in the plant. So.
Probably left it in some road.
Thank you so much. But I wanted to show you what some of the stuff is. And I have more. Hope I didn't forget it. So these are. I remember I used to have a super Leatherman tool. I do want to hand out some of these. This is kind of a technical guide for designing seed mixes. It's very thorough. It's actually very technical. So I wasn't going to go into that too much. I was going to go over the basics, but this is available. I did this one. This is from Region 2. All the everything, tips and everything applies to everywhere. I did find one last night, but it didn't get printed. It's from the Lolo, the Montana forest that actually is even a better publication than this. But this is really good information if you ever need to put a seed mix together. You see how thick it is? It's really more complicated than it looks, and what I was going to do is try to make it easy, concepts to think about. And one of the things that we use is pure live seed per square foot. And a lot of people will talk about seed mixes as, well, how many pounds you put out per acre? Well, it depends on what we're talking about, it depends. I mean, what kind of mix are we looking at? Every mix is going to have different poundage, right? They're going to weigh different. Seeds are different sizes. And so you have a design mix that's got diversity in it. You got everything from yarrow to lupin or hairy vetch. You've got two extremes. For instance, there's like 16,000 seeds in a pound for a lupin. For yarrow, western yarrow, 2.7 million seeds per pound. Wow. So when they ask me how many pounds of acre, I did this. Well, let's talk about the species first. So it makes a lot more sense to think about seed mixes as pure live seed per square foot. And so so I'm designing on projects on a really denuded sites, 50 seeds of pure live seeds in a square foot. And a lot of places that doesn't really need that much seed, I'll go down to like 20 seeds per square foot. And that's really how it makes a lot more sense. And it's real easy to do in the spreadsheet. The information you're going to need, and I'm going to point this out back on the slideshow, but is the pure live seed per pound, of that particular lot. So every year, so somebody I can call one seed company and ask them, what they have for whatever species, and they'll tell me in the pure live seed they have. It's going to change from a different lot from somewhere else. The seed viability is what we're talking about. So there's dead seed in every, unviable seed in every batch. And so that pure live seed really means is what actually is going to germinate. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay, well, this is one of our methods to use. And as you can see, it has a dial here. And this will have an opening at the bottom that regulates. It's and it has these numbers basically for you to guide on. This really is not the way to figure out how much your application rate is. Application rate for seeding, especially with a bucket seeder like this, is what our crew to use. It's a learned skill. It isn't something that you can just do. You have to actually calculate. Like say that this asphalt was a bare ground. the first thing I would know is okay, how many square feet we're talking here. And then if I know the approximate square footage, I can figure out how much seed needs to go on this square foot. And then it's just simply a matter of trying to distribute that seed evenly across here. That's the only really good, true way you're going to do application in a practical sense. Now, without a drill seed or something like that, that's more calculated. Where most places I work, you can't get a machine to. You've got to walk it by hand. This is what we call a belly grinder. You know, like at a circus, you know, you got like the music going on and a little monkey on your back. Well, that's what these guys do all day long a lot of times, reseeding old road beds and things like that. Great tool. I mean, you can put a lot of seed in this. These are about $100 each, and I'd recommend them. You know, you got the cap on them. If you drop it, spill it, you know, you can. It doesn't all spill out. For a professional, that's what you need more than anything else. They have these mounted on the back of a big TV and things like that. We just don't have a lot of use for machine-mounted seeders because we can't get machines to where we work. So you pretty much have to walk these sites. So great tool to use. This is my favorite tool. Everybody used one of these before? This is my favorite planting tool in the world. It's a planting tool, but it's also a favorite tool. It feels really awkward. Feel this around. But once you get used to it, you can do amazing things about opening up holes for plants. I can plant pretty much anything anywhere with that thing. And I have before in lots of different mine sites, you know, around Montana and other places. I didn't tell you the horror stories of trying to plant like, you know, Zortman up in Montana or Malta or some other places. Even stibnite, we plant a lot out stibnite. So that is my favorite tool in the world. It's called a hodad. And you have your bag of plants and your dag. So you bag and dag. And you could do, it's very, very efficient once you get the skill down of putting in those 10 cubic inch cells, or even longer scale cells, or even shorter cells. There's some that are only 6 cubic inch. But that's designed, you can even put a pretty big sized bare root plant in too. A little harder, but very efficient. And so it does take, you know, a good full day to get kind of used to it. But I'd love to show you some demonstration, open up a hole for you. So, but that's a great tool for planting. It's not just shovel planting large containers. If you got small containers, that's gonna put them in the ground faster and better than those are. I'd recommend washing your hands after doing this. This is fertilizer, but you can touch it, smell it, whatever. This is truly our secret ingredient. This stuff here is amazing. Let me just show you what. Don't taste it, whatever you do. Don't get wet. And I probably should tell you what this is first before you touch it.
Right?
I've touched lots of it, and you know it does stink for a good reason. So biosol. Anybody got a guess what that is?
Chicken.
Compost.
Short for what? Biosolids.
From
Biosolids. From Austria.
Huh.
Oh.
It's from Austria. So there's biosolids from Austria, right? Looks like chicken feed, whatever.
Yeah.
This stuff is gold. It is amazing what it can do for soils, any soils. This is food for plants. This is the best soil amendment I've ever used, and it's a fertilizer too. But it's more of a soil amendment than a fertilizer. This has a lot of humus, lot of things that plants need. And so take a closer look. You can see that this is a 721 fertilizer. Does anyone kind of understand a little bit of that? So nitrogen, potassium, phosphorus. So most of the fertilizer you'll see, you know, even a light fertilizer, chemical fertilizer, would be like a 12-12, 12-12, or 12-20-12, or 40. So that's really the ratios of nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, right? Or the other way, NPK. So this is pretty low. And the way soil science would do is measure how many pounds per acre of phosphorus and things like that. Really, you don't have to be so scientific with organic fertilizer. This is an organic, 100% organic fertilizer. And so organic fertilizers won't burn your soil. And that's a really important concept for restoration. I hardly ever touch chemical fertilizer. We strictly use organic fertilizer. For one, it's fish friendly. Organic fertilizer will leach right out of your soils pretty quickly after the first rain event. It'll come down. If you're trying to fertilize a stream bank that you just rebuilt, you don't want that to leach right out in your water. And so National Marine Fisheries and things like this will approve this fertilizer, but not necessarily a chemical fertilizer.
So this is what people should be using around the lake.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And I think this is what we use on our lawn.
Where can you buy that?
Okay, so there's the catch.
Yeah.
Where do you buy this and how much you put on? It's a lot more expensive.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, but think of it this way. With a chemical fertilizer, you can go fertilize and you actually get some pretty good growth for 1 year, and a lot of it will leach out, and you're done. You're going to fertilize next year. This is a 3-year fertilizer. This you can put on the ground and you can still find the qualities of this 3 years later in the soil, and it doesn't leach. This is, like I said, more of a soil amendment, where you have really denuded soils of basically food for microbes is what we're really talking about. Food for microbes and fungi. You're trying to get that established first before you can get any kind of plant growth. That's what this does. So this 731's kind of ridiculously low. I've heard a soil scientist say, slamming biosol, how he was strictly a chemical standpoint. It's kind of ridiculous. Yeah. Why would you do that? But it's not a chemical fertilizer. He's comparing chemical fertilizer to this. It's not the same. You can't put enough of this to burn a soil. You can't burn a soil. When you put the recommended rate of a chemical fertilizer, you're killing microbes and you're killing fungi. You're actually counterproductive. You're going to get grass to grow, but you're not going to actually help the soils. And so I'm a big proponent of organic fertilizers versus chemical. Now they have their place. With that said, I mean, when you have some establishment, you need some boost of vegetation, they have their place. But for the most part, especially out in the forest environment where we're doing our work, we're trying to promote nutrient recycling. And to do that, you got to develop your soil of microbes and fungi first. And so it all starts with that basic ingredient. If you don't have your soils right, you don't have a productive soil, you're not going to have growth. And
How do you disperse that? You mix it into the seed?
Well, we're going to do, we use this 2 ways. You can put it on dry. We don't mix it with the seed, but because we're trying to get the application rate mostly. You could, but it would be hard to get the application rate right. But we put this on separate. Well, most places where we can't get a hydro seed or two, we'll just spread it dry. We have some methods we've done that went pretty well. We've put it in this bucket seeder, and we can spread it that way. And you still get that dust and everything. I didn't mention it, but when this gets wet, what's it smell like? It smells like Austrian poop. It really does. This is from Austria. It's a commodity, and there's very little products like this. There are a few like Nature Fiber and things like that are organic fertilizers, but nothing as good as this. And
why is that being produced in the U.S.? Why are we getting it all
that's
the way from Austria?
Absolutely. So they have distributors, and we buy through distributors here. There's a great place in Boise that actually sells this. You mentioned that. This is $27 a bag. It's a 50-pound bag. Application rates, depending on your soils. If you have really denuded granitic soils, I'm going to put it on as much as 1,500 pounds per acre to 2,000 pounds per acre. And that is going to grow some things, and it's going to make a big difference. If I put it on 1,000 pounds per acre on a granitic soils, it's going to help, but it's not going to be as effective. In the basalts, I can get away with 1,000 pounds per acre. So it depends on your soils and how denuded they are too. If you're doing a lawn and you got a garden, talk about garden stuff. This is amazing.
I use this in my garden exclusively, and I just put it in a container and just...
Absolutely. A cup per plant or whatever.
But I remember from working with Margo and Jim, all the potted plants, we'd put, I can't remember, but it was just
a cup,
third cup or half cup, and then you just kind of scratch it in. So I just used it on
it's
that
better
amount.
just right on the surface. It's not it's not
You
something you actually want to
in.
integrate in the soil. It's actually a topical thing.
Because then after it rains a few times, then it stops smelling.
Yeah, it does. It does stop smelling. We actually fertilize the new SO with this, and
Yeah,
worried about the complaints from the neighbors.
We've done the activity visitor center lawn and this
Yeah.
lawn too. And people all go, "What did you put out there? It
It's like
stinks.
a
What's
Yeah.
happening out there?"
I can talk a lot about biosol, but it's a
just
really
a
amazing
fertilizer, it's
product.
fine.
Yeah, and it's hard to come by. Sometimes it's a commodity, but and it's expensive.
Where do you buy it exactly?
Yeah, so where did you get it?
Legacy Seeds is a distributor. They're out of Caldwell. I've seen it sold individually, even at D&B Supply. I thought I've seen a bag or two.
I got mine at Margot and Jim's, but I don't think they because I work there. I think.
Yeah.
But they might sell it.
We bought it by the truckload, like a full container, 43,000 pounds of it.
Yeah.
But that's a big investment when we have big projects. So we do that. But the thing is, you have to keep it absolutely dry. If you get this wet, you lose a big investment, and you don't want to touch it. It's really nasty when it's wet. You know, when it's conglomerate like this on the ground, when it's spread out, it's not too bad. But we have techniques where we can fold the bag in half, cut it in half, and actually hold it, and you can actually just chicken feed it out. And cover is really good. And over time, we have some innovative people that know how to get this done really quickly, and so we've kind of developed some pretty cool techniques that way. I'm gonna move on because I've got a lot of stuff to talk about. But this is a really cool product too. This is brand new, and the jury's still out on it. But this is pretty cool. You wanna let's open up a part of this, but I do need to close it again. So this is we haven't used this very much, but I'm pretty excited about it. It's basically a compost that's concentrated into a mulch that you can actually hide your seed through the machine. And so I'm just going to get a little bit of it out. And you can just do the organic test. Thank you. Sorry. So I can spread this around a little bit. It has a pretty strong smell. Stinky, huh? I like stinky, as long as it's not too anaerobic. But there's a lot of nutrients in this mulch, and it's pretty concentrated mulch. You can see how this alone can really help improve a denuded soil. So you've got large organic. You basically got a compost here that has, wouldn't take much to get microbes and fungi to grow on this stuff. So it's a matter of quantity and how much you can afford, because this stuff's not cheap. That's
and where
problem.
can the average person get this? Or can
good question. There's places that sell mulch. This you can look online and find out a distributor. There's a distributor out of Boise that I use. Specialty Supplies. I don't know the name of his company right offhand. I know his name, but anyway, we can spray this out of a hydro seeder and put it on, like anywhere from 1,000 to 2,000 pounds per acre, and really amazing. Just combine it with some biosol and a good seed mix, and the thing will grow like crazy. It's basically hydro composting. Compost is, if you can afford it, is the best way to get things going. Live compost, and I'm a real believer in organic matter. And most places it's just we're getting our project scale is so big, you can't afford to buy compost to cover it. What we do is we bring everything from adjacent, the organic material adjacent, the duff layer of the forest, and try to get that on top. That's the whole trick, because that has the microbes and the fungi you need to get the roadbed or something like that reestablished. Get the nutrient recycling process going in the soils. This is a great product, but we've only have a little bit because we're just kind of experimenting with it and seeing how good it is. But it's got a lot of promise. And quickly, I'm going to go over another thing that my favorite product is straw, right? But it's a little different. See how it sheds?
Wood chips.
Wood chips.
So it's not a chip, it's a straw. So it's actually manufactured straw out of Douglas fir.
Wow.
And so, can you think of the difference between this and ag straw? I meant, for one
thing, it doesn't have seeds or any.
It doesn't have noxious weeds in it, for sure.
Weeds.
Okay. this wood's going to last a lot longer than the straw. This is going to be out there for a good 4 years, 5 years of good solid erosion control before straw's going to disappear after the first year. It doesn't blow away.
Yeah.
Huge difference there. It doesn't. You can put it on a slope, and it doesn't fall to the bottom of the slope. It's heavy. And you can't blow it away.
So,
this is a great product.
is there a reason that can you use other species besides Douglas fir?
Yeah, there is. This is what they have.
It's
in the
just
West.
kind of a
There's only one manufactory in the whole U.S., and that's up in Washington. They have a lot of Douglas fir.
yeah, they do.
But we do have there's other species.
All right.
We have fir. I mean, this is actually a great mulch.
Yeah.
Not just mulch, but erosion control. And so we need cover on our sites where we have adjacent to the stream channel.
Yeah.
We need to have enough cover that it's going to provide the erosion control, so we don't have to worry about a silt fence or a barrier for you don't need to slash both a windrow or silt fence or straw wattles. We have enough erosion control that it's not going to erode. So that's the whole point.
So this is way different from like chipping something now.
Chips are different. Chips are structurally different. It's really interesting working with soil scientists. They're so excited